Welcome back to Dubbzi Bricks for episode 5 of building the Tantive in Lego. And I'd like to start off first of all by saying a massive thank you to Klaus from Brickery Builds Lego. All of the donations that you've given to the channel recently, Klaus, are much appreciated. It helps so much with building ships such as the Tantive IV and Gotham City as well. So I really do appreciate all of those donations, Klaus. So thank you very, very much. Now, in this update, I'm going to be starting off by working on the display stand that this vessel is going to be sitting on. Originally, I was going to have it so that I could lift the vessel off of the display stand and just place it back on there. However, as mentioned last time out, this has got so heavy already. I think it'd be a recipe for disaster having it as a loose stand. I think it needs to be built into the base of the ship. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip it upside down and then build a Technic structure down from the fuselage here, and then I'll plate it in black bricks to give it extra strength and also give it a nicer finishing touch. Now with this ship, obviously here we have the micro build, and this part here is probably about this portion of it, so it's only a fraction of the vessel, and each one I think is going to have its own display stand, and then I will just connect them together to make it look like one large one. Also, if you look at it from this angle here, this section here is this part just here, and you can see that the distance from here to here is almost that again. So this display stand for this one here is going to be quite tall. So again, it needs to be very, very strong structurally wise as well. So yeah, we're going to start off by doing that, as I think it's also going to make it a lot easier for when I come to building the skin that goes around the fuselage as well. So let's flip this upside down, get the Technic bricks out, and let's get started. And you can't beat a good technical problem right at the beginning of an episode, and it's all to do with the support stand on this part just here. Now this section is so heavy due to the weight of the boarding corridor that side and all the brickwork on this side. It is very rear heavy. Now I was going to put the stand coming up here and then put another one down the other end and then join them together on the actual base. However, if you look at this vessel here, there's this circular part that goes around there. Now, as you can see on this model here, they've actually used that as the place to support the vessel. However, if you look on this version of the Tantive IV, there are some details at the very bottom, which obviously I will be adding to the craft. So what it's going to mean is I need to make sure the stand is further down this end where there's nothing present for me to build into. So I'm just going to have to take this part here to pieces, carry on building this along, also build this section up here, and then I can start building the display stand right at the end and then further down here. It should be quite a straightforward fix, but what I do need to do is make sure that I leave enough room around here to get all of the build and details in that I want to do so. And here is the start of the display stand built into the base of the vessel. And I've used the same technique here as what you get in the helmets, how they connect the helmet to the actual base itself. And as you can see here, I've surrounded this one by bricks, and I've also clipped it into place in numerous places all the way down. Now, my only concern is that it's all clipped together, this Technic beam to this one here. However, all of that section there is only kept on to the actual ship itself by studs, and ideally I would like to have had some Technic clips clipping it all together. However, due to the fact I've used the 16 by 16 plates, there's no way of going through the bottom of that. I could have done with sort of like thinking about this before I actually start building. I can solve that problem in the other sections of the ship, so I'll make sure that I start with the stand and work my way up. What I can do on here is I can connect a Technic beam on the end and connect it all together there. So that will help squeeze that end together. And then down this end, I'll just carry on building out the end, and then I will clip it all together. So hopefully there will be a way. There is a lot of studs connected to plate there, so it shouldn't go anywhere. But obviously, I want to make sure that there isn't any problems further down the line. And it's decision time with the Tantive IV build series, and it's something I've been thinking about for several days now, and it's something I didn't want to do, but I think I've got to do it, and that is pretty much have a complete overhaul of this build. And the reason being is I'm not happy with the strength I've got in the lower part of the ship. Now, if I go like this, it's not moving. It does feel really sturdy on there. However, I'm worried that if, when going to a convention or something like that, if it got a really bad knock somehow, it might break off. The other problem as well is I've got no studs to connect to on the bottom here. It's all the anti-studs, as I call them. And obviously you've got this sort of shape that's going to be going all the way around it. It'd be much better if the studs were pointing this way. And I'm just wondering whether or not it would be, or I have been wondering, should I say, whether or not I should be changing these art plates out and actually going over to this sort of style like I've got on my Onyx Cinder. So I've got the studs on both sides here. And I think if I did the base of the Tantive here using that technique, I can then build off of it in both directions. Also, if I've got it in this style here, the support legs can be connected on both the top and the bottom of the build. So it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to take a long time for me to make these amendments. I reckon probably take about 24 working hours just to strip it all back down and put it all back together again. But I think it's going to be time well spent. Another problem that I've got is there's a circular part that goes in here, and it's very close to this support stand here. It'd be much better if this one here was probably about here and that one was around about there. So again, when I rebuild this, I could actually make this section of the build that much longer to enable me to move the leg down. So there's a lot of positives that I'm finding with making these changes. Obviously, the downside is the lost time. But those of you that have followed my channel for a while will know that if I'm not happy with something in a build, then I will rebuild it rather than just put it out there and say, oh, that's good enough. I just want to make sure that this is the best build that I can do. And as I said, I think I can make the ship look a lot better by making these amendments. So what I'm going to do now, unfortunately, is start taking this apart in as large a sections as possible. So like all of these, I can just peel it off and then I can put them back on once we've redone it. The corridor sections, again, I'm going to try and break the walls off very carefully, rebuild the framework and then put them back on. So anyway, let's stop talking. Let's just get on and let's get it done. And the amendments are coming on nicely. The corridor, as you can see, I've got the first section all in there. And I've made this corridor 2 studs wider. And the reason being, there was just about enough room inside when I put the cylinder around it. And I just felt that when you have the scene with Darth Vader coming through with the stormtroopers, they just looked a little bit too close together. So I thought on that one section, I'm just going to widen it by the 2 studs, just so it looks a little bit better. Now, the corridor that will be coming down here, I don't think there was any more room. Maybe 1 stud if I'm lucky. So if I can extend it, I will do, but otherwise it'll be the same size as before. But this new structure here is so much stronger than the previous one. It really does feel that much better, and I'm confident that when I build the stand into it, it's now going to feel a lot sturdier as well, and I'm not going to have any worries at all about it falling over and breaking. Anyway, I'm now going to carry on bringing the corridors over onto this section, and I'll check back in once I finish doing so. And that has taken considerably longer than I thought it was going to. These sections here, they went on so quickly, no problems at all. Still need to do the tiling in the corridors, but we'll worry about that later. But this section here, it was so fiddly, and all of a sudden there was parts missing. I have no idea how they're missing, as I was just taking them from here over onto this build. However, yeah, we had to find a few pieces out. It is slightly different. Again, no idea how, but there's less of a gap in that part just there. And I've also chopped it off a little bit sooner on this section as well. And I'll be blocking that off with a doorway once I get to that part. But what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to flip this upside down and start building the support stand into the base. Once I've done that, I'll then stand it upright on its new base, and then I'll start bringing over the rounded sections which go around the corridor. And there we have the two support stands all built into the frame. So these are connected to the entire chassis, so they're completely brick built inside, and there is a Technic beam as before all the way through that. Now that I've done that, what I need to do is just tile this section off here and then make the base that these are going to slot into. So at the moment the studs are pointing in the wrong direction as we've reversed the studs on the bottom of the vessel. So I'll make the stand that's going to be going around this, and then that will sit inside of it, and then there'll be some Technic pins clipping it all together. So let's crack on and do that, and I'll check back in once we've finished it. And here we have the Tantive on the display stand. It does feel very delicate, is probably the best way of describing it. And although everything is all connected together, I do need to, I think, just put a little bit more support on there. So I'm just going to adjust the design of this so it actually slopes out. So what I'm going to do, I think, is a Technic pin goes through here, or an axle shot, sorry, will go through there. That'll connect the base section onto the upright. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to build some slopes that go up against the edges on all four sides of that once I've plated it all off. And it's back to the drawing board with the display stand, and they're just not quite strong enough. The structural bit inside the pillar seems to be okay, but it is tilting a little bit too much. And then it did break on the outer brickwork. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to put some snot bricks down the outside, and then I can plate onto them as well. And then that should hopefully do the trick. But yeah, it's proven a little bit tougher than I thought. I was hoping by doing the same technique as you get in the helmets, it was going to do the trick, but it certainly hasn't. But anyway, let's just amend the back one to start with. And if it looks like that is the way forward, then we'll turn our attention to the front one. And I feel like I'm making some good progress finally with this display stand. And what I've done is I tiled off this section just here, and then I've started building in the opposite direction. The snot bricks are perfectly placed apart, so I can plate over all of it, connecting it all together on all four sides. So that should give it plenty of strength. And then on the top here, again, we've got a Technic pin here. So this is actually all attached to it. So if I can lift it up by that part. So I think we are finally on the right track. This is proving a lot more part intensive on parts I haven't got, and as you can see, I've started building these parts out to help with the stability as well. Now I'm dreading the damage that's been done underneath here. I did just find one wall of the corridor section, but it is Lego, so it'll go back together easily enough. It'll be quite handy to be building the stand up the other way now, but again, still will do this one just here. But anyway, let's carry on building it, and yeah, fingers crossed it's going to work out. And we have success. It has taken an absolute age, but we have finally got a display stand which is really sturdy, and I'm confident I can leave this overnight and I won't be finding it on the floor in the morning, which wasn't the case with the previous one. And I haven't even put the plates on the sides just there. So there's going to be 4 rows of plates, 2 on each side there. They're 2 plates thick as well, so it's all doubling up on the strength there. And the slopes are helping to stop it from moving as well. And on the side here, it's actually going to be built more into the base as well. Once I've got all of the plates on here, I'll start placing off around the top there. But it's nice to finally have the display stand design all sorted for this section of the build. And as soon as I solve one problem, another one crops up, which is, to be honest, what I was expecting with this entire build series. This has all been put together, as you can see. It was a little bit different in the technique to before now, as we haven't got the snot bricks on the bottom to reverse the studs, and obviously this is a lot thicker as well, so I had to do some remeasuring. It didn't look quite right, and it turned out there was a plate along the bottom there which was forcing the bottom section out a little bit, but we got around all of those problems. But the latest problem is when I go underneath the ship here, it's actually bowing just a little bit here. Now, I think it's bowing. It's either that or it's just the stud connection has come off of there. So I've just got to work out how I'm going to go about solving that problem. What I am considering doing is building something all the way along there that's more solid and has got snot bricks along the side. And then I can plate along the side of it as well, so it'd be the same as this. Now, doing that could also help for extra stud connections when putting this skin onto the vessel, but I am going to need to get some more parts in to enable me to do that. I did pick up some snot bricks off of the pick-a-brick wall the other day, so they could potentially come in handy. But yeah, it's the next challenge in this very challenging build series. And I've just started work on the structural strength of this part just here, and I think it is going to work out quite well the way I'm doing it. Even by the extra plates I've put on here, it's feeling that much more clipped together, so a lot stronger already. But the one thing I am wondering is whether I should do the same going this way as well. At the moment, I've just got the bricks built up on there. There are a couple of Technic connections inside the framework as well to help keep it all together. However, I am wondering whether if I should put some plates going this way on their side. Same technique as that again to help with it. Previously, I had a beam like this one here that was going down into it to help prop it up. However, now because of the way that I've changed the whole structure, I can't actually put those beams in. So I am thinking it might be a better idea to actually do that whilst I'm doing so. It won't take much to make the alteration, because all I need to do is just unclip the circular parts on the top here, peel them off, and then just rebuild that centre structure. So I think that is something I will do. And that's the centre all built up, and it really does feel so much better being built this way. And I've even connected the legs with a couple of plates there as well. So it's all interlocking to each other very nicely. So fingers crossed that is now going to solve the problem with the slight bowing that we had in the center there. I've also got a lot more studs here now which I can connect to on the top for when we do the details that need to go on there as well. So yeah, it was well worthwhile spending the extra few hours just getting this all sorted out. But anyway, let's flip this back up the other way again and just see if it's done the trick. And that is the problem solved. It is nice and strong under there at long last, and the build is so much heavier after this update. Just by building the support stand on here, it has probably doubled the weight of the build. These legs are solid. That's obviously pretty much solid inside there as well as the doubling up on the bricks inside there. There's a lot more bricks than there were with just the art plates. So yeah, the overall build of this has grown considerably. I was hoping I was going to be able to get a lot more done in the last month. However, these legs have taken ages. Just changing the substructure over, that was quite straightforward and didn't take too long at all. And doing the white corridors, that was quite quick, but it was the other corridor at the back that took so long. But yeah, at least we know that we're definitely on the right track now, and it was well worthwhile, I think, taking the time to amend the actual substructure rather than just try and sort of like work around the problem from the previous design. By redoing it, it means I have opened a lot more opportunities for doing a lot more detailed build underneath the ship there. Anyway, that's all we have time for. I hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think could be interested in building the Tantive in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for hopping on by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.